Yeah, it has, but we've said from two. From this lead, and it's taped together and taped onto the computer, so you can't pull it out. But Heath Robinson, in the spirit of.
Oh, that's sound, yeah.
And it should pick up your voice on the microphone here. That's what it's. So that's like using RSP, but through YouTube Live, and I've sent the YouTube Live link out through the login.
Yeah.
So this that's a delay. There's a delay, but you don't need to. It won't affect what you're doing. It just buffers it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, cool.
Walk round for a bit and introduce things. So. And it's recording. It'll archive it as well.
Right. Do you want me to just do what I've done?
Yeah, I think so.
And then pass it on?
Yeah, then pass it around.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm William Gallagher and this is my work. It's all to do with time and our relationship with time. So these are some of my works. Here we have a conversation about words, and it's put together on a contact sheet. Two artists would carry a camera and take pictures of each other's hands while having a conversation with one another, and then documentation of that process, and then applied through onto a contact sheet. So now we've put up a green screen, and this is being broadcast live through the MacBook. There's a slight delay to emphasise on lag. Fortunately, there's not enough light, so it's a bit darker on one side, so it's not picking up properly, but that's okay. So now the table's covered in appropriated works. We had the words time, beauty, appropriation, and the everyday. So I've focused on time and appropriation mainly. And the table is covered in magazines of Vogue, Elle and Grazia magazines. Now I've tried to focus on the articles that go against Western ideals of beauty and the importance of fashion, the importance of diversity in the fashion world. I've also got a couple of articles of culturally appropriated artworks, and tried to just cover the table. So there's also a piece of work that I did called A Year in My Shoes. These are just shoes that I wore for 1 year, exactly 1 year, from January 2021 to January 2022. I've just put them on the floor for people to have a look at. And we've got some photographs of the magazines on the table, which I've edited together to create new works of art. And I've also appropriated some texts from magazines and also Emily Dickinson poetry. Do you want to have a talk about your work on the ceiling?
Talk about yours?
Yeah.
My work was was related to this because it was collaborative, but then I was thinking about surrealism and how that ties into how making things look abstract ties into the abstract idea of time, and I was manipulating people and the clocks in order to provoke conversation about time and time moving and shit.
Alright, and this is also another work by me called Perfect Lovers, and this is an appropriated piece of work originally by Felix Gonzalez Torres, and it's a work consisting of two non-identical synchronized clocks, so the difference is that they're non-identical in this case, and these clocks will eventually fall out of sync. They do already look like they've gone out of sync. This has been up for just a day. You can see that the minute hand is just off slightly. So I'm William Gallagher, and that's all my work I've done, and I collaborated with Jeannie Haywood. I'll pass you on to someone else now. I'll take over. Yeah, just go through your work and just talk about it.
Right, so guys, this is my work right here. We've got a video clip of some scenes of a video that I shot. The project is called Lost, and it is to go along with the theme of like abandoned and ruin. It's a series of clips built up of places that I find intriguing and different scenes of my artwork. So we'll just have a look. This is the start of the video play now. We'll have a start. Yep. So this is one of my favourite places. It's a abandoned bomb shelter, World War II. It's a really cool place, very interesting, lots of cool graffiti, people's works, as you can see. Yeah. So, as you can see, it is projected on a background with the projector here, and we've got some speakers playing inside. It's I don't know if you can hear it very well. It's a nice harmonic music, and yeah. So we'll just continue looking at the video. That is me by the church. Yeah, it is.
Why did you choose these shots?
Right, so I chose these shots because I thought it'd go along really well with the theme, and I'm really trying to capture the whole darkness.
You're trying to capture like the ambience, like,
yeah,
the environment.
And the music in the back kind of is a contrast because the video itself is quite dark and gloomy, but the music in the back is like uplifting and light, and I think it contrasts really well.
Yeah, it's like a good juxtaposition.
Yeah, and hope you enjoy the video.
Do you want to hand over to someone there?
Yeah.
Should we talk a bit about the bazaar? Or do you want to do that?
Right, we're going to go over to the bazaar, Beckett's bazaar.
No, I don't think you don't have to be in the video.
Here is the
Holly's gonna talk, but we find
Wait,
out.
just behind the camera, yeah. Yeah, go on. I'll do a little tour and you just talk about it.
I don't even know where to start, really, to be honest.
What were your original ideas when thinking about this?
Well, I wanted to make work about like the unspoken kind of world on Instagram,
Yeah.
and how as a girl when you're on Instagram you kind of sign like a virtual kind of contract in a sense.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, by the way, you set up a page and you're going to get all these creepy dudes messaging you, but that's normal.
And this group went and produced a zine of their work. Do you know, like, flick through it and I'll show them it.
Yeah.
And it's like a collection of all their ideas about feminism, queerness, like mental health,
And nature
and
as well.
nature as well. Yeah.
So it's everybody that collaborated and worked together. We worked really well. I'm surprised we made all of this in a week, to be honest. This was really good. I think it's really good. We had so many problems with printing as well.
Yeah.
So
How
many,
did you produce
so
it?
many issues with it. Just keep going up and printing it off again and again and
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Ooh, it's my face. Hello.
Oh, I saw you like
My shiny face.
putting them together by hand.
Yeah. Pain in the bum, but took a lot out of our printing budget, printing all of these things out.
Yeah.
But it worked out well.
It is totally a representation of social media, just like the onslaught of like imagery.
Yeah,
and, like,
absolutely.
And like,
just open your DMs and there'll be a random dick pic that a guy
Yeah.
sent you or a guy wanking off, and it's like, I don't want to see that.
no.
Really don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's like a collection of like opinions.
And everybody knows
imagery.
that happens, but no one ever talks about it.
No.
So I wanted to make something like that.
Okay, I'll give this up to someone else. Who else hasn't talked about it for this? This work was done about. So this work was done about someone's grandmother going through dementia, and like the gaps in her memory, the way she perceives the world, and like the distorted view of her reality. These are collages that have been blown up and then printed out. This video coincides with it. It's like both a montage of a video editing process, but the videos themselves are the art. This is work done of youth culture and photography, emphasizing the day-to-day. Which is just done in response to how it is to be alive and young. Do you know Hold It? And I don't know where else to go. It's been done.
Okay. Have you done these every year?
Not these. That's one I know.
No?
But there are people there right now.
Right, okay. Done this one?
Oh, this was done to start a conversation about masculine and feminine. So this is just men's clothes and men's shirts that have been like essentially scrapbooked together and made feminine by cutting it in half, making it into like a two-piece set, and making it wearable for a woman. And it's about the transition of like what was acceptable for women to wear over time.
Yeah, and then they've added the pockets in
Oh yeah.
on top as well. Some of them aren't real pockets,
No.
and
Yeah,
some of them aren't even like functional pockets, but they've just been added on.
Yeah.
Yes, because women don't really get pockets on their clothes, do they?
Yeah, it's
Not-
like not
It's
really.
not really.
I don't know any.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
It's like a critique of women's fashion as well.
Yeah.
And what's acceptable is still being challenged today. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we'll come back through here. Alright.
This was a collaborative piece on body. This whole piece is like an interactive and immersive experience because as you go through, it invites you in with like different representations of body and form, different writing about them, and like people's interpretation of what that means to them.
I love this bit.
Yeah, this one's really good.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Sarah Roberts from Hyde Park Book Club is doing a crit by going around and like educating us on what it is we can improve on in our work and giving us suggestions of where to research and where to look in order to like elevate our work to another level. She runs a club there in Hyde Park which encourages young artists and students to run their own exhibitions, so she like pays for everything, so like out of pocket, and helps you get sponsors and stuff within the community. Do you want to film the crit that they're doing? That's what she's doing.
Film the crit.
Yeah, the tips. So this is an interesting approach as well, isn't it? You know, if everyone can't get in, maybe nothing. So how do you do that in spaces as well? You know, if you are thinking about access, it's like, I know you, like one time I wanted to create a viewing platform that felt a bit like Baywatch, which was in the middle of this big red space I was making. I would have had to create a ramp that was bended up like halfway to Brixton Station. So I just didn't do it at all, and had to find a new way of doing it. Because sometimes they maybe no one's doing it. Or like, can you block something off so that everyone is having like an equitable experience of proceedings? And can that be interesting as well? That's really other things can't go in as well. You were maybe in the building at Venice, maybe like 2 goes ago, 3 goes ago, like only get in. And as a white, British, middle-aged woman, I'm like pretty much allowed to go everywhere. So being told I couldn't get in, I was like, this is fascinating actually. And then you start to think about the equality of spaces and quite how privileged some of us are and don't realise. Yeah, so I can see how it plans together, but yeah, talk a bit as we're going around. How do you think it works as a cohesive space? Thinking about everyone's role. You didn't achieve that sense of belonging as you go through. Yeah. You've got any favourite places to hold it in? Do you anything particularly work?
I think it without every element, I don't think it would work.
Yeah, I get a sense of that. You know, when you're moving through, again, it feels like people's work. Like, Frankie, your work's got quite a lot of space, it's back, isn't it? But it's not like that space is taken away from anyone else's work. It feels like people's work has the right space. Does everyone feel like that?
Yeah. We've all been able to like work together to create it, and even work as a group is like pretty much that.
How about the people who are here today who you felt like it's had equal way?
Oh, there's Matt. There's Matt. Yeah, they're not here, but Wales is on the way.
It's just white looks have changed.
So Matt is there.
They never talk.
I mean, I'm
Yeah, this artist Kirsty does a lot of work on war, capitalism, like the global economy, and like that in relation to art, and how that affects us as people.
Do you know how they did it?
They did, I think they did some printing onto fabric, and then other pieces, and then she like pasted and glued like material over it, and then ripped them off to create like a layered effect. Yeah, but she printed onto fabric and also used prints from on paper. That and paint, obviously.
It's quite a big piece as well.
It's a really good piece. Bit of a manifesto at the top as well. Yeah, she does a lot on like with this kind of imagery. She does a lot on like public surveillance, CCTV, and like that kind of idea of like being restricted and limited.
Oh, wow. So what's with the decision to have this in
Might seem quite late because of the last recording, so like connected it in terms of entrance. So like the gate, which then links to political and then the body.
So when we were talking earlier about the decision to have a large entrance, you've got quite a small exit strategy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my sister and who did this. This is Darcy's work and this is Lauren's work. So they were focusing on the exterior of the body and the physical aesthetics of it and stuff like that. Lauren looks mostly into all sort of structure and sculpture of stone and like the bodies and how they made them so physically accurate and how hard that must have been without like such like libraries of like reference pictures. And the pure skill at such an early time in sort of sculpture and art. And these were her challenging the way she made positionings of people. So these are different positions that she's never sort of drawn before. Having to challenge herself. Darcy as well. Darcy does a lot of portraiture, so bodies for her was sort of experimentation for her to do something different. And the colours kind of joined them on this. So work together. So the whole thing is this is supposed to be a heart. This internal piece is a body. Yeah. This is the heart. The projection that went into the room is a big time-lapse video of us making and curating the space, and it's sort of the brain of the project, so how it works. The window is the eyes of the project, so you're physically looking outside of the body as you would with the eyes and bringing the public into it and sort of nature and the natural world. So my work's about the so this is me and Chris. This bit here is primarily about the unnatural feeling of like a foreign thing in the body. So I've been to loads of hospital appointments for the last like 6 months about the cyst that I've had. Which is this? Yeah, the big sort of ultrasound sketch. It kind of relates to transparency of material, sort of the intrusiveness of the literally like X-rays. I've had tissue taken from my body. It's just this foreign sort of feeling that I've not had to experience before.
and the flowers are supposed to be sort of like over time. Yeah. Yeah. Sort of the deterioration of sort of how I'm feeling with my body and my health. This is an endurance piece. These are meant to just sort of interact with and play around with because.
Yeah, really physical things. Yeah. Like sensory stuff to do with
and
the body.
having someone sort of constantly touch and like prod at things. Is how it feels. Sort of at the minute.
So these are all like an interactive piece that people can feel and touch.
So this piece you're supposed to. You're invited to sort of separate the macaroni from the rice, and the fact they're so different, I think, is literally just what is going on.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. The endurance of it, because Marina Abramovich did a piece where she separated white rice and brown rice, and she described it as a meditation act.
Yeah.
But for me, this feels so painstaking. Like, I've watched people come and do it, and they do 5, and then leave because they're like,
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too boring. It's meticulous.
Just the endurance of having to go for everything.
Which is experience with hospitals, isn't it? So of course,
And then this is supposed to be sort of like.
Again, it's a sensory thing.
Yeah, so you invite. Would you like to say? But also the feeling of being like. You feel foreign in the space because you're so high up and this is so low down. You like feeling that awkwardness of.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable to sit on.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable. I'm just like, waiting.
Yeah.
That sense of waiting and being uncomfortable and
You're literally making an uncomfortable
environment.
Yeah. We talk about them as well because they relate to like the sensory stuff as well.
These are just working with form and textures and just everything being a bit discombobulated in this space is literally like the feeling.
You're trying to recreate like that.
So this is Chris's piece mainly.
Do you want to show it?
Do you want to sit? And then pass the camera.
Do you want me to bring the camera?
Let's sit in the space. So the idea is we have an invigilator. And you invite them to sit, and then they would slowly open. Sort of has the invitation.
It makes me think of birth, like in a really big way.
Like sort of a light sort of coming out of the end of something, and the colours and everything starting to just piece together, stuff like that. It's just a nice silent break from the sort of discombobulated structure of the piece.
It feels really peaceful, yeah, definitely.
It's like a break from the exhibit.
It's definitely like a different way of like displaying your art rather than just putting it on a wall. Is that what you were really trying to do?
Yeah, so even a canvas piece, the idea we didn't quite get to execute was to have some canvases sort of hanging, because I find when I go to art places I do look at the ceiling a lot. This does have a piece underneath.
I see. Oh, I see. Yeah, that was your work on like body and eating.
And so just having things suspended, and the fabric walls is sort of learning to navigate yourself around something or somewhere, not feeling of being somewhere foreign.
Oh wait, what are you guys saying?
No, sorry, I'll just get everyone's piece in and then we'll move on to that as well.
You can't not touch it.
Okay.
Aisha's piece. Because we said it was cool, but we didn't know what to say about it. Aisha's piece, she does a lot about emotions, but she works mostly with painting and painting the feeling of an emotion and how it's affecting her. So this is more the structure.
Feeling?
And like the stress and quite literally when you are stressed, your gut reacts to it, and it sort of
And you
feels
feel like your
it's-
gut's falling out.
Yeah, and sort of the hand holding it together, and yeah. We spoke about the heart because a lot of people had said it's on the wrong side,
Right.
but I also feel as if I'm seeing it as a reflection.
It's a mirror, not a
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking, so my heart would be on this side in a reflective mirror. And we thought to put it in this black space and have it lit up to see the strings inside, sort of holding the structure together.
And it being fragile looking. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's this body with inside the body of the kiosk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an external sort of structure in an internal structure.
But it's also a mirror as well.
Yeah.
It's not something that is.
It's a reflection.
It's a reflection of
Yeah.
your own body. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, there's
It's
also
really well made.
this piece, which isn't at first sort of a piece, but I was writing about it and I've sort of left these lines, and it's supposed to be for the audience to sort of think of their own
Yeah. How
interpretation.
they think about body and their
Yeah.
own body.
Yeah. So the lines that are empty is for you to sort of have your own dialogue on body and
Yeah. It leaves conversation.
yeah.
Yeah. It leaves like space for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jo's work, but Jo's whole thing with her work is people's interpretation rather than her telling them what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak into it. Stuff like that. Yeah. And Alexis denied stuff that's on the wall. This was, she was asking when the level 6s came around yesterday. If they had any questions. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Is there any questions in there? Check a look.
I don't think so. No, but we did speak about sort of this being part of the piece now. Because
Okay.
it's sort of formed to have to go through disability
Yeah.
and like intrusion.
Because she's not talking about like what it is to be disabled, like she's talking about what it is to have to experience that in our world and in our society, and how people like how there's so much you have to do to like prove you're disabled, and like and I'm still and say you're still disabled when you like
And the forms for disability are quite literally like pinning people to the same level of disabled. So like, can you make a cup of tea? Yeah, okay. Well, other people can't, so you're not as disabled as this person. Right. When it's not how it works
and
at all.
because it's fluctuating. And you're okay one day, but you're not okay.
Yeah, rather than being like, how many times can you make a cup of tea? Being like, it's just a big spectrum.
Yeah.
But Jo's work works with Kirsty's work and using body as a society.
Yeah, like how we're treated with our bodies.
Yeah. So Kirsty's work is a lot about peace and surveillance, which relates to Jo's work about surveillance and being constantly scrutinised and watched to make sure you are being disabled enough
Or whatever kind of conversation we need to have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't talk about the access to
Oh, there's Killing's work as well, which is sort of to be pinata and the interactiveness of it, and sort of just breaking this, the intense sort of imagery of a body. And stuff like, so it's coming out of here, which is dysmorphia and the feeling of not wanting to have a chest, and a disconnection to your body, which I suppose is why it's coming down,
and why the body is like not completely formed.
And this transparency of the body with the plastic, and
like people can see through you.
It's also quite an androgynous shape, so it's not male or female really, is it?
There are these really amazing
Yeah.
So what's the reason behind the colours?
I think it is literally just to
Is that-
have some fun and
Like a difference between the like monotone, or it's almost see-through. It's like
Yeah.
translucent, and then
having this
being burst.
explosion of,
Yeah, an explosion of colour.
yeah, and feeling,
That must be, yeah, that's where the feeling is.
yeah,
Yeah.
sort of falling out like Aisha's piece. The textiles of this piece and it's sort of flowing together, isn't it? A coherent sort of thing. Yeah, the access denied stuff. This is sort of the text that we worked with to make the entire piece, so just thinking of different ways of showing the body and what a body is and challenging. So we have the access denied posters, which was a group decision to make this inaccessible to go into. So it did have tape, so it's on there.
Because she'll often go to places that claim they're accessible, like travel and spend hours getting there, and then they're just not for her.
Yeah.
So creating like
A space that I'm not allowed in.
yeah, even though you're essentially invited because there's a door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get there and you find out, oh, I can't actually go in there.
Yeah.
It's taped up. Yeah. And there's Megan there.
Let's go on to Megan's.
Sort of passes around and it's supposed to go light.
Yeah.
So you are in the body and you come out and you think, oh, and then you hit with this sort of.
She does a lot of stuff on like pregnancy, body, and that was
How your body can change so much and the fear of she can't sort of feel about
Would you like to talk about your work? No. That's okay.
Yeah, just a little bit. So you really have to go with us.
But I find yours really interesting because of the melting clocks and the link to Salvador Dali's work, how it literally feels like it's melting off the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like the clock melts.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were. I didn't want it to end at like at the image. I wanted to present it in a way that would be reflective of what I was trying to show in it. Like, because we did that with those kind of pieces. Yeah, with them like consulting and moving around. I thought it would be a weird.
No, I really like it. And it's sort of a space that isn't used a lot.
No, this is.
And it's sort of, I feel like it's going to melt down into it and it's slowly kind of coming down. It's really good. Yeah.
Right, shall we?
Have we covered everything? We covered
I think we haven't covered the eyes. Should we do that?
This work was done by Matty. He does a lot of work in like pencil. So these are sketches he's done and then blown up really, really big. And then I think he was trying to expand like his mediums and do stuff a bit different. So, but I think the first time ever he used coloured pencil and also obviously like image.
Do you know why he's put the
I
globe
think,
in an eye?
I think it was supposed to be like good and evil, and this is good.
Ah, right. Yeah, I see.
Because it's like someone cooking the earth. It's not like smashing it.
It's caring for the
Yeah.
earth, and we should care for the earth.
I think that's inspiration.
Right, yeah. Okay. Should we
Did you do those girls' work up there with the prints and everything?
read the photographs? But let's go on to the back wall. Yeah. Should we talk about this one behind you?
Oh yeah. This is sort of like a celebration of femininity and body, because our topics were like beauty, boredom, documentary, like appropriation and stuff, and how the female body has been appropriated a lot for almost everyone's purposes. So these are lotuses around it, which are like symbols of protection and stuff, and femininity. So it's like protecting bodies. That was their intention, I think.
So the border is made up of protected hands.
Protective symbols.
Yeah.
And things like that,
Even in a public space, my body is private to me. Is this all embroidery?
Yeah, the ends are embroidered, and I think these are like printed onto fabric with bits of embroidery in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's been printed on, yeah. Fab. Yeah, shall we go on to the dots? Go on to this one, and then we'll go around.
This was done by Leah, and like she's in their group to do with body. So I
With
think
the body.
Yeah, I haven't talked so much about it to be honest, but it's going to be about, I don't know.
It almost looks like a some kind of victim.
It does, yeah. The spots look like targets as well. So it made me think of it.
So. Alright, so the red's actually not painted on as part of the print, I think. I think so.
Yeah, it's
part of the print, right. I can't tell. Are his eyes open?
His eyes are open there, but then they're closed. They're half open there and closed in there. It feels like a storyline, like that. It does look like he's a victim of something there, and like his past. Oh, this is Freya's work. She, in relation, she used like the colour scheme that these two girls used as well. But yeah, she's doing a lot of stuff with like really small illustrations. And again, she relates to our theme with like death and nature and things like that. And time. I really like these a lot.
Yeah, it's almost like when you zoom into someone's skin.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like.
With the uneven distribution of like shape and stuff, and how they've been like,
And some of the clocks don't have hands, means the lack of time.
Yeah.
Some of the hands are like melting away, they're just not connected to the centre. So I imagine that they're not like the cells of the skin, it's more like every individual cell is a clock, perhaps.
Oh, perhaps, yeah.
Alright.
Do you want else than nature?
Yeah, should we?
Yeah. So this work is like a piece intending to make you reflect on your own mortality, beauty, and like yourself, and aging and decomposition. So that's why when you look in this mirror behind you, there are skeletons, like, skeletons, decomposing petals. Like she's done work in rhizoprene. And yeah, both of them have, and they've collaboratively come up with this, so the colour schemes are like relatively similar. Yeah. First she did watercolour and sketched this, and then Riso printed it in different ways, and then eventually took that image and then layered it up like this. But her work revolves a lot around like decomposition and like finding beauty in everything. So this relates to a lot of the stuff she does personally as well. What's her name? Maddie did this work with a focus on the environment, beauty and boredom. Yeah, she does stuff on pollution and its impact and extinction. So
she's chosen butterflies because they're going extinct.
Yeah.
They're like a beautiful creature and they're going to go before us.
Yeah.
So she's focused on butterflies mainly as a beautiful thing, and then she called snails ugly, but I disagree.
Yeah.
And she loves pink.
Yeah.
She was excited that pink.
Yeah, with like capturing it like this, she sort of made them immortal and like permanent, like because you know what I mean. They'll last probably like past the lives of those butterflies.
Yeah, and it's not like a taxidermy either. It's a print of photographs of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's animal cruelty free.
Yeah.
Like immortalising the butterfly, like you say.
I don't think I rested on her long enough, so I'll just do some zoomed in shots of it. The work in our collective has been very interactive and like audience orientated. We talked about how the audience becomes like the subject matter because we're talking about them in our art and we're like getting them to engage in it.
It's the participatory, like the audience participation becomes the artwork. By sitting in the chair, you are now becoming part of the sculpture, the installation of sculpture.
Yeah, it isn't complete until you sit down in it.
Yeah, it becomes the work once the viewer can view themselves. Same with my video work as well.
Yeah.
It means nothing without the viewer interacting with it.
There's no subjects with these, and with yours especially, there's nothing to see.
There's nothing to see in mine, yeah. But there's also nothing to see here, apart from, well, you can see a chair.
Well, if you were sat this way, then you'd be facing anything.
Yeah.
And they've added a quote from a poem on both sides. I think the poem is about death, but I touched them briefly, but yeah. Do you know, get them to do stuff like that? Have we covered that?
We've not done this, no. So, oh, it's on my shoulder. Right. Alright, so this is Robin's work. and she's been looking at jewellery mainly, and they've also gone for a riso print and the imperfections of the riso print. I love this one. This is great with all the half tone. That's amazing. So they've also gone through magazines and picked out pages of the magazine in which they have applied to a riso print and then duplicated that until they get half-tone prints. And so I think this is all about the imperfection. I'm not sure, I haven't spoken to Robin this
Well, I
week.
think it must be because they've like encouraged the like imperfections in it. They could have chosen to make a clean image, but they didn't. I've already talked about my work with dementia.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just like this kind of footage of like the family stuff and the bits that like the thing that I like about it is that it's like it's not
Do they need to add those? Because I just said it before dementia and then grandma's was actually below the things like that.
Yeah, so it was. She did talk about today. We had a group meeting, and she talked about how it's interesting how her grandma will wake up after having a dream about something that happened in her previously in her life, and she thinks that's happening in the real time on the day. So she's trying to capture these images and show the slow degradation of the mind through dementia. It's always really sad about dementia, isn't it? So a lot of the faces have either been covered up or chopped, and the images are.
It looks like she's gotten photos of her grandma from when she was younger and things. I wonder if that's what it is. Probably.
I assume that that's who the women are in the pictures. Yeah. So these are also prints of photographs.
Yeah, she'd done this like as a collage, but quite small, and then blown it up for this.
And then blown it up.
Yeah.
I love this one. It's so Dada.
Because the glass windows look like a face.
Yeah.
Looks like they make eyes.
Yeah. And I wish she was here, but I wonder if maybe that is where her grandma lived.
Oh, I wonder, yeah.
It could be.
So it's just...
Or some area of relevance to her grandma.
And where it is, it's like all in her head.
Yeah.
Like maybe if that was her past.
Yeah.
That's what she thinks about.
Space beyond like just representing yourself in the way that you want to be represented. The little extra step you can take where you're like, but why is this engaging with me? And the scenes that like most appeal to me in it are the ones that like happen in the music videos and stuff with like the effects and lens. Really cool. And I like
And this is a 6-minute video of the memories that the artist has had. We've also taken 6 photographs. So I think there may be, she did say that there wasn't any relevance to that, but I think maybe subliminally there is something behind that number. So these are all done in real time. It's a live capture of Photoshop, I believe. So these are all done in real time. We talked about these.
Briefly, I mentioned that they were like capturing me and
So these are images starting from the beginning of the night. and then
It's a progression.
it's a progression of a night out. It's
Like just like a simple night out. It wasn't a special occasion. It was just.
yeah, it wasn't like a big night out. It was just a night out really, and it goes through like meeting up with friends, and then pre-drinks. In the second photo, the third photo is the taxi journey. The fourth photo must be arriving, or being at the...
Or queuing.
Or queuing, yeah, maybe queuing.
I like this as well, them holding hands.
Holding hands. That must be going to the event, and then this sixth photo is them at the event.
It looks like them on there, sitting down, like at the drinks.
Yeah.
Drinks bar.
And this is just the capturing of the night. So these are also in the time everyday group. And then finally coming back and being on the streets, and then finally arriving back to the starting area. So just having another talk with the other group about their work.
Certain things that stick out and they usually stop happening.
There's a black, red and white piece of work, and they've got a lot of text on here. Monday's looking pretty weak, or bleak. 2/3 of the week on no sleep. Do you know who did this work?
This was
Even. So they've directly spray painted onto the wall as well. And
They've kept it like a really concise colour scheme. They like only use white, black and red. And chorus, I think that's from it just sounds like a song that's made. Because it rhymes.
You know, are you questioning something? I think now is just trying to figure stuff out. That's the most important thing. So what were you trying to explore with?
It's like you combine stuff from like pop culture, like this guy, and like youth culture with like decorated zippers and stuff, and then uses like symbolism from like religion and stuff, so like really old aspects of culture.
Yeah. Do you know the significance of the eye within a daisy?
Oh no.
Is it a daisy?
I assume so, but no, I haven't talked to him about it.
Okay. Do you know why 140? No.
It must be saying it means something.
Yeah. There's also like Leeds speak as well. Should we talk about the teddy bear?
Yeah, we should. This was like an interactive piece where they encourage people from our studio to like destroy or like this bear. The bear in question
Missing an eye.
has been skinned and de-stuffed and I think someone, yeah, and clearly like stomped on and hates people, which was like a bit akin to Yoko Ono's.
Yoko
like,
Ono's cut
performance.
piece.
Yeah.
So this is, I think it was a bear from the artist's boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
So the
Prints are by separating the what do you call it? Is it the RGB thing?
it's CYMK, so cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. Key black. So all the primary colours really.
Yeah.
So it's a very
Feels like returning to childhood a little bit,
Yeah.
using those colours.
very like child-friendly colours. And then so this is also a Riso print as well, isn't it?
I'm not sure actually.
Or is it a screen print? I'm not sure.
It could potentially be a screen print because I've seen her do that before.
There's different layering of the bear and then different placements of the bear on the sheet. It's also put in like this circle with, it's almost like a ritual.
Yeah, it looks a bit ritualistic with that in the middle.
Yeah.
With the destroyed bear and stuff.
And then we've got like a completed image. It's not out of focus, it's not shifted, it's all contained within one image.
I think the colours have been enhanced there.
So we're just having a talk at the moment, and we'll come back afterwards after they've done their talk. Just
That work was on fantasy, destruction, like sci-fi, so they've used like familiar ideas of like fantasy, like Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that, but also like sci-fi and destruction and things like that.
So there's a cityscape that's been destroyed by like aliens, and there's lots of wires coming out and skyscrapers. Okay, we'll come back. Alright, and this is a...
Oh, he's talked about this.
Oh yeah, he did talk about it, yeah.
Have you covered that one?
Yeah, we haven't done this one.
These were not good too.
Yeah, so Raf and who's the girl? Do you know that?
Yeah, two people worked on this collaboratively by swapping every 5 minutes, and they've created like a structure that can be reassembled in different ways because of how they've put it together with this kind of thing, these kind of slots. So they've made like a piece that can be like, it's almost like a jigsaw.
It's a constructed sculpture. It's got multiple purposes, I guess. When they dismantle it and reattach the pieces, they can change whatever.
And it changes the meaning.
Whatever like slots into each one.
Yeah.
I know that they both would spend 5 minutes with the piece, and then once that 5 minutes had ended, then they would swap over. So they'd take it in turns, have 5 minutes to add onto it, and then swap it around.
They both have really different approaches to art. So Belgian works with more to like traditional mediums and like ideas of like what art is, but he works with like graffiti, and they like, you can see that in the type of writing he does, and the type of aesthetic he's trying to do with like the anime eyes and stuff.
And I know that they did say that they sometimes would just get stuck, so the 5 minutes would have nothing applied to it. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, good way to work collaboratively.
Yeah.
We just came up with like ideas together and then tried to
Where
represent them.
theirs was like on a whim. It was just changing like constantly, yeah. Just go around this way because the wire's not long enough.
Oh, I thought they'd like printed that on, but that's her painting, I think.
Yeah. It's all on like MDF board as well. I guess that's just to make it like more structurally sound, and so it doesn't topple. It's also at this like quite funky angle. I wonder if that's an intentional thing because it's like it's almost like Jenga.
Yeah.
It's almost like in a falling down position.
I know quite a bit about Lily's art.
Do you know they use wire as well?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Did we talk about the tower and like Lily's words?
No, we've not actually. We haven't done the gymnastics either. Should we do this
Yes.
bit first? Just
Okay,
we're
yeah.
here.
This work was done. This was like a photo shoot of like sort of like a Mad Hatter's like tea party. So is the original pictures she took, I think. But then she's taken an image she likes and then blew it up to this huge scale, like the whole size of the wall. But the pixelization and like the effects she's used on Photoshop like make it look pretty good.
I think it was accidental.
It was happy accident, yeah.
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 Bit of serendipity on Photoshop. Yeah. And the yellow white structure on the right hand side is a candle, but it's like an electric candle. So that's come up quite. It's almost like it's been cut out of the piece.
Because it's so like saturated.
Yeah.
The contrast is
I really like how it looks. I like this one.
Yeah. It's like an old VHS. What else?
and then we'll and the gymnastic and then we'll ask some of the
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the pieces in the middle were done by someone who like actually competes in gymnastics. So this is like what she does outside of this course, and she's used riser print again to like capture movement.
So it's inviting the viewer to walk around this pillar. So it's focusing on movement of the body for both the artist and the viewer. And these are images that have been like applied on Photoshop and they've been stacked on top of each other. So she's taken these images and edited them together so that they show a movement that is not really natural. You know, it's a bit trippy actually. Some of them. So this has all been applied to a column.
Yeah.
It also invites the viewer to.
Make sure I speak upwards.
Yeah.
Millie from this column in 10 feet as well. She does a lot of work using like refracting light and making like patterns and rainbows. So
Yeah, she initially wanted to do CDs and reflect the rainbows, show the like rainbows that you get when the CDs are in the light, and then she scrapped the idea and went to more of a simpler form of capturing and documenting these CDs, because a CD too much of an obvious thing.
yeah.
So
She's taking like the song titles and like artists. She mostly listens to like rave and that kind of music. So these are a bit of like the
Jungle,
culture. Yeah.
So we've got like supersonic booty bangers.
Hobbycore, NSA, Spoon Bend, Jungler.
Do you mind just getting the wire? Is that alright? Pure Filth and Father Funk. So this is inviting the audience to come and search the artist or the album.
Yeah, she's encouraging you to expand from just like your ideas of music already and like the kind of things that are like that emerge in popular culture.
So these are from Leeds, Yes Crew. Got Scumbag. Or Garrett. I don't know what it is actually. Oh, Algorithm.
Oh.
Algorithm.
Yeah, she like went to a 3D workshop and she's made these letters herself. So
Ambidextrous. So really it's inviting the viewer to not just know what it is instantly. It's something that they've got to themselves research and then find themselves.
Like
some of them you can kind of tell what they are, but you may not know what the song is or the artist.
But even to people who are like further distance from music and don't really listen to it, it would just look like a bunch of abstract words put together. So understanding the meaning of the piece is like, reserved for the people who already get it as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if it's me seeing it like this, but I wonder if Millie's thought about the use of the column as like a sundial.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the text is on the floor. Unfortunately, the sun's kind of gone now, but you'd be able to see the shift on the floor of where these would be, where the shadow would land. So I wonder if that's like a conscious decision or if it's just me. Like that's how I viewed it. But that's one of the first things that I thought of when I saw these. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing their
Not
talk
me.
right now.
Yeah.
Should we ask people to talk about their work though? Like the people who have already been talked to?
Yeah, sorry.
Should we like ask people to talk about their work? Or what? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this guy is from Screw Gallery, which is a gallery that does like mostly like contemporary art in Leeds. Yeah, they have a really cool like exhibition space, which is quite small, but they've got like a studio space at the back where they like house I think 6 artists that work there and like produce art there. Most of whom do like collages and they even have used a space in the back as an exhibition space, which was like a tiled, I assume a bathroom, but it was like tiled, and yeah, they do like a lot of experimental stuff and talk to people from abroad, and are trying to create a space where like yeah, foreigners can like come here and like produce and put up their art in a space that isn't like so exclusive like the other options that are available in Leeds. So it's like a really welcoming space for people who want to showcase their art in the UK. Last time I went there was an exhibit by a Turkish man who was doing a lot of stuff involving like pop culture, like collage, that kind of thing. Yeah. So right now he's talking to students about what they can do to improve their art, how they would make their way in the art world themselves. Artists to look at, he's giving them suggestions on where to research and what they did right in their work as well as wrong.
Yeah, my advice would be to start there. Just keep making work with whatever you want, but like try to get yourself a little research project just to check out how painting has changed over the years. Because the other thing with Instagram is like difficult for art is that those algorithms favor things which are very like the biggest artists, as in artists who will be in museum collections, artists who are major figures, artists.
They've done a lot of work on like magic, especially in that corner that we haven't been able to talk about because they're occupying it, but like structures. I've been thinking about done a lot of stuff on swans, and they've also made their exhibition space by like painting a wall to be a brick wall, and that like coincides with the use of like sculpture and structure in a lot of people's work. Yeah, that's a map that was made. It's a magical map of, I think they've used the roads that already exist in Leeds.
Yeah, so it's buildings in Leeds and it's based on Harry Potter's Marauders map.
Yeah.
It's really worth watching it. You think about it, and it's just fun to read about it anyway, because they're interesting people most of the time. Like, you know, we're independent, we like slap people for interesting work and stuff.
Do you talk about your Yeah, it's really, really good. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? Oh, okay. Yeah, we're live streaming it. Yeah.
The water looks good.
Is this their right stream? I'm sure
Right, who's up next? Who wants to do it? Nobody wants to do it. Alright, let's do it. What we got?
Oh, this is Tom's book?
I guess so, he's got his name.
Oh, yeah, I see.
We covered it. Should we go? Do you think we can revision something?
I'd like to be able to show that work. We just want to get in that corner so we can show their work as well. But yeah, then we're done.
Yeah. small kind of detailing definitely, yeah. I mean, I think it's like, the thing about this that I like, I think is really cool is that like, you guys are just moved, like, yeah, fuck it, let's just put it out, it's gonna be great. We want to get something out, we want to improve the ideas together. But like, the word that I'm always like come back to with students is like, pragmatism. It's like, you guys know what I mean by pragmatism in art. It's just like, to be pragmatic in art is to just do the thing in the most effective way. Like, don't do something overly complicated, don't do things really expensive. Like, what is the quickest, most effective way for me to get my idea into the world?
Usually, outlets are almost outlet. Because I usually focus on realistic. Yeah. He also kind of, you know, like he both like details. He both do like that's something that's
So we've got fantasy destruction.
we have like plots and so forth. We're not kind of.
I mean, it's fine. I really don't think like if you look at work like this and you go like, oh well, it's not very complicated. You just miss the point. I think. It's okay to make things that you're like illustrative or like experiment. Did you guys enjoy working together?
We've already talked quite a bit about what they're doing, so I don't even know.
Also, do you also do that realistic drawings? So you guys listen to completely different. It's not a process.
Not yet.
Oh, can I do one?
Yeah, of course. Do you want to do it on your work?
Actually, I'm scared.
No, it's fine. It's only going to be like
Okay.
us watching it, innit? It's alright. Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it over to work. So we didn't get to talk too much about it because, yeah.
To all the lovely viewers, this is my work, so it's just from this little section here. So it was my first. Is it working? Yeah. It's my first time doing digital printmaking.
Yeah.
So these were the two original pieces. So this is the first one I did, and you can see I've incorporated some sort of clocks.
Time in it, yeah.
And then, but the actual meaning is I took time on this. Like you can see, it's like.
But time spent doing
Yeah.
this. Okay, we were thinking it maybe was like loads of clocks, just getting smaller and smaller. But no, it's just it's just showing that like you're spending lots of time on it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone can take their own interpretation on what they want it to be. But firstly, like the first idea was I wanted to do a time lapse of anything, me drawing something random. So that's what the idea sparked up from. So I wasn't actually meant to do this. It's just me doing a time lapse of something.
Do you have the time lapse?
I do, yeah, I can send it through.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, do you know what? Someone suggested do a printmaking of it. So that's the printmaking for that one. And then they were like, you can do loads of different colours and stuff. So
you created this as like a backdrop?
I did the guy from upstairs, he was like, do loads of different squiggles. And we could change them all into different colours, as you can see in here, it's all different colours. And that's the outlining on top, which is separate, which goes on top of there, basically. So I thought all of this looks quite sick together. So
No, it really does. Yeah.
I was just like,
it was cool that you showed like your process, like you showed everything from it, not just the final piece.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important as well.
Yeah.
Just to see where it kind of came from. Yeah. But I was like, it is kind of boring, like the fact it's on a wall. So
well, that was one of our words. To be fair, it was boredom.
Yeah, I mean that is one of our words, boredom. So maybe this is boring. Like if you look at it all together, you can see it kind of.
It's like cohesive though. You use like the same colours from it.
Definitely, that was our like plan though. So you can see little like spray. Someone else did a spray print of an orange. Yellow flower, not orange, behind it. It's kind of discreet, but then I've added little like things of yellow
around it,
the same sort of colour, and obviously this is about decay, and then that's about decay kind of thing. So I think that was it. Like, that has something to do with time. So there's like obviously a big clock there and TikTok. So it's all kind of like got meaning.
It's as a whole.
Yeah, as a
It's
whole.
yeah.
But I think like all of this put together, it kind of like we did our own separate things, but we collaborated it as one big little wall. So yeah, I think that's me done waffling. But yeah,
No, it's really good.
back to you.
I've actually got to talk about it because we didn't get to say too much about it. So good. Yeah, I think we're done. Let's bring it back.
I think let's just go over everybody's work one last time, just in case we've missed anything, and then we'll do that silently, and then we'll end it. Yeah?
Yeah.
We've done it for over an hour now. I think that's quite a good job.
Yeah. I want to go say hi to my mixed dad.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it is. I think it is printmaking, so it's like kind of
Park's got a lot, it's got a large Bible, so it's got its own. Yeah, I just based on it, so it's sometimes hard to do that. Also, there's an organisation called Fraps. Okay, but that's the thing, just look that up. She will, I don't know, some good practice. Quite a lot of people have like I'm sure she'd be interested. And then there are organisations like LASSEN,
Honestly, I thought you
There's like horrible things happening here, figuring out how to paint the story and how to craft it. And then it came more like crafts and everything. But like again, there's nothing wrong with like some of those kind of like low and high. Do you want some artists to share? These are not huge film sites. We're working right now.
Yeah, but when it comes to that sound,
There's a lot of work that's like inserting contemporary life experience into documental. So thinking very like old fashioned this little bit, it's taking that even further. Ali Moss, she works a lot with magic and the environment, but also with like kind of themes of pop culture, especially stuff. So it's really interesting.
oh yeah, it was,
Another good artist. It's like she's kind of the sequel. Not the worst, not the worst. It's like original work from there. I know the last year was what happened in the sequel. It's all like she's showing the screen at the end of October. It's like that shows that she basically tries to get artists. They did her up like she was dead. Did a bunch of photos of her with iPhone in the house, and then now you think she bought storage unit. Kind of interesting. It's like a lot of nice it's all about stuff. It's like kind of interesting. I don't know if that's something right, but yeah, I feel it's much better. Yeah, and those are all kind of like new as well. They're all like Wonderland. So seeing like highlighted as well while plugging into part of art is kind of hard to get to for a lot of people.
I guess it really sort of like one way. You use it where everyone else constantly. So I was like, go check it out. Yeah. Right. Cool. Alright. So this is my favourite way to make stuff. It's like cutting out, it's tiling stuff on Photoshop and bringing it out. I don't know if you do that. Okay, so our like the thing that so the gallery made up of this gallery and the 7 studios made this up. The art studio shows the studios the artist studio in the gallery and so studio house style. This is one of my like favourite ways to implement working is to look at making like this. It's becoming like really popular because it's cheap and functional and easy to do. Do you want to tell me a little bit about? So did you get these up here with PVA?
Yeah, you just put it on you down so that it will stick to the sheet.
Are they inkjet prints or are they laser prints?
It got printed on the
Okay, was it printed off on like a standard kind of library printer? So those are laser prints. They're not dry colour, it's just powder. The other thing you use inkjet print because it's wet ink. When you put an image like this up with basically with PVA, if it's made with inkjet print, it will all fade and the colour all leave, which just produce your first image. So this artist called he works with this and bleach and stuff a lot, so a lot of inkjet prints, bleach, ink up, really good precision You shot this photo?
Yeah,
okay. Has this kind of like language, like honestly, like this is good because it's just natural way it's like everyone's things. You turn it on down, it's really crazy light casts. Right, with the bar and everything is blue, cooling it and making it warmer, and that's why we can like blue, you know what I mean? It's like a really good one. But an artist from Leeds Beckett, maybe I don't know if you know his work, but he did an installation screen with like a bunch of kind of like collages on the walls. And he works with like these kind of like really kind of rudimentary editing techniques to make the images look quite like jarring and symmetrical. I think that this is really cool work. Like staged photography, something that I'm really into. I think it's really cool. I like the way you presented it. I don't mind that you've got between the stuff. I don't think it's important. But I would be interested in what you thought. All photos. Well,
now that it's done, I was very scared of doing it first, did you really want to scale?
He's trying to provide us with because then it's
I've been there.
with arrows, right? Because somebody's like, how do I put an arrow in?
I was quite nervous.
So like you talk about how to do it, this is just how you can do it, which is kind of interesting because people try to make stuff look like this. We were legit talking about make this stuff look like this, and the way it is, and we're just figuring it out. Because it's got this sort of like fairly international language to it as well. The majority of the focus is on the experience too. Because I think that how they look here versus how they look here, it's like I wouldn't bother with I like the crazy edit from America. I think it's probably also stuff like this. It's like stuff like this is really like connected or shit. It's pretty cool as well. I think
But then my dad's saying when people pick up on it,
it's an interesting one, the fact that you set this up. It's very like goth shop, kind of like sort of like red velvet, kind of like weird t-shirt with which is like well it's not scary, it's like happy. That's what you do like the team bar and stuff like that. So like I think including stuff like that is really fun. Do you know Alex the Carter? Alex the Carter is
no,
so Alex the Carter works a lot with like these sort of horror things, really fun. There's also a great moment by Charlie Fox. We've got a book called My Head in My House.
Say hello.
So but if you can find it in your new library, it might be.
I'm done now. Could do with a cuppa.
Could we go have a cup?
Yeah. It's time to go.
But it's
Not good at pub then.
really, really interesting. It's basically printed out
Don't know.
I think so. Decades worth of Tumblr use of just images that he's collected. So it's like vampires.
Hang on, mate.
All these kind of like aligning things.
Alright then, thanks for watching. Bye bye. Ta-da!